I'm Carolyn.
I'm Carson, and let's get treacherous.
Treacherous. I'm gonna do it just as awkward as I did it before. Okay, so why do I will
Do what just as awkward as before?
like, oh, I'm Carolyn, because I'm not. I told you, like, I struggle with the intro type thing. I struggle anytime I have to like act.
You know, I agree with you, and I understand there is a little bit of a discomfort with doing this, sort of corny intro. But I will say, it is fun to listen to back when I'm sometimes in the editing process, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then you add the
True.
background music, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's
I
fun.
get it.
So
So
I
let's
don't know.
do.
There's something fun in that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, we are on.
Episode
We're on episode.
2
We're just
and
talking about it
3.
all. 2 and 3. Yes.
Yes. So if you haven't watched our first episode discussion with Bergie, I recommend you go watch that first. And if you haven't finished episode 2 and 3 of Traitors, then you should also make sure you do that before you continue on this podcast. And we're going to be talking about 2 and 3 specifically, but it's easy to cross over into episode 1 and 2. Nothing too specific.
2 and 3 specifically, we're not talking anything behind the scenes. We're not talking anything that we shouldn't.
Right. Well, Carolyn, I wanted to ask you because we are recording this after a few days of the episode being released, and there's obviously been a lot of reactions to the first 3 episodes being out there. What has the response been like for you?
Girl. So I have this rule where, like, I don't read stuff. I don't go on message board. What do you call them? I don't go.
Forums.
I don't go on Twitter and search my name. I don't go. I'm not a part of any groups online where I don't. For what? Like, again, it's one of those things where I know myself. I love myself. I don't need and it's already done. So I'm not going to go and like, well, what did they think of this or that? Like, I can't change who I am and I can't change what happens out there. So it's like, I don't need to see people critiquing my personality and who I am, but also my game or what I've done but thankfully I have people who will send me like nice things. And when it's like, great, thank you. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, how could I not feel like this? Like, this is Survivor. No one's listening to me. I thought maybe like if I put a skirt on and put some makeup on, but that doesn't change my personality. It doesn't change that sometimes I might be a little much. And that's okay. That's probably why I was picked for the show.
Yeah. Well, I'll say from my perspective, having looked at everything, because it's so fun, because my best friend is literally killing it on one of the best reality TV shows out there with legends, literal legends, Survivor legends, Big Brother legends. I mean, I am stoked every day I get to rewatch these because you are literally destroying it as a traitor. You are currently, in my opinion, the traitor that has the least scent on your tail. Every other traitor has been thought of. I mean, of course, Dub. And it's just, I love how they show little moments, and we'll get to this more, of just like people walking around. I think there was a moment where Gabby goes, what if she, or they were like, do you think she's a traitor? She's like, there's no way, but what if she was? And then Jeremy being like, we would know if she was a traitor. So it's just fun to watch it, seeing how you're killing it. I mean, you walked into the game expecting to be underestimated, and you were, and you've used that to your advantage. And so I've enjoyed looking at the response online and just seeing how everybody is like, why are people still dismissing her? Did nobody learn anything from Survivor 44? I mean, you don't even have to necessarily have watched it to just understand that, like, hey, she has to be pretty good if she was on Survivor. Now she's on this big time TV show, and people talk to you like you're a little kid. They do. It drives me crazy. But you're killing it.
it's easily could be looked at like, well, Carolyn, then change. Then Carolyn, why don't you try to be normal? Or why I don't want to. That's the point. That is
Yeah.
the point that I can go and I can go on these games. I love my hat with the smile. I can go on these games and it's like, you know what? I can be myself and it's
Mm-hmm.
literally gonna people aren't gonna know. And I say this to Alan, like people they can't read me and I'm going to be all over the place, so
Yep.
yes, that probably makes it hard to play with me, but I'm not even going to say that because I am like I was laying low. I'm you see me like
Yeah.
being pretty calm, like as far as when it comes to the first breakfast. I'm like, oh, I'm keeping quiet at the round table because I had Sandra in my ear. Carolyn, don't speak up unless you have to. You
Yeah.
don't want to put a target on your back, but you know what? That's also it's not a lot of fun to be like that either, to be quiet. But
Mm.
also like I don't need to be like coming in hot out of the gates. I don't. But
Yeah.
I am like doing really well, but then it's like you can't be so quiet like you're a Dan. So it's such a weird mix of like getting to the middle, and I don't really have the middle, girl.
Well, I have some more questions for you specifically about
Wait, where are we? Aren't we like where's Alan? Don't we do like the dun dun? Or are we
what?
just going into it?
We're about to take a break, but we're gonna. What I meant to say was, I want to ask you some more about. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Dang it! But I want to ask you more about your hat, with Jerry on it, and a lot of other things, specifically game wise, because I think that a lot of people before the show were like, Carolyn can't do this. And it's like, people don't realize you are a hardcore gamer. Me, you, and your son were playing Minecraft earlier yesterday. Like, we used to play Roblox Survivor and like on all the time. And you are a gamer, and so it's crazy to me because people just don't realize that, even though they should. So we're going to get more into that and more into the weeds after we take a quick break. And when we're back, we're going to discuss more details within episodes 2 and 3. So we're going to take a break. Be right back.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Yeah, so basically, like, okay, I love this show. I love the Traitors. I, like, girl, I'm like sleeping in my cloak. I'm like having a ball. I have all the headbands. I'm a fan. I love, like, this is a great show, and I love Alan. He's so entertaining and so funny. Anyway. So, of course, we see the breakfast rooms and I did like before going out there, I'm like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to that? It's just not me like to so going in there for the first time, that's the thing too. It's like, well, you're a traitor now, so how should you be acting? And I guess that's like the beauty of like me is I am so all over the place
It's
that
so hard to read you.
it's so hard to read me. And
Yeah.
so, but it's like I know for one thing, if tears are coming out of my eyes, they're going to be sincere. If and it did, I remember thinking a lot like, geez, and you see it on the episode where I'm like, that is too much. Where it did, it was like seeing Danielle and Bob, and I'm like, am I supposed to be doing that too? This just, oh my gosh, this is too much. And I'm thinking like, isn't this like we just got here and y'all are
Yeah.
crying? And just yes, I think people were surprised. Like, Carolyn's the extra one. Carolyn's the one who's over the top. And look at me, so calm, cool, and collected. Look at me, whole like I'm not giving it away. Nobody thinks I'm a traitor.
Well, that's just baffling to me. I think I wrote somewhere, I was like, the fact that Carolyn Wiger, who will self-admit that she embraces emotion, embraces tears, says crying is healing, is crying the least out of the you, Bob, and Danielle, the original Traitors, was shocking to me. Like, if someone had told me before the show that there were going to be 3 Traitors, one of which was Carolyn, that's all I knew, and that Carolyn would cry the least of the first 3 episodes in, I would be like, that is a bunch of hogwash, like that. Carolyn loves to cry. But seeing Bob and Danielle at the breakfast table just, I mean, and Bob said that his tears were genuine, and I believe that. But Danielle
Yes,
even's like,
like
and Danielle says like, oh, and it's like, I'm not sorry. Like, I think she thinks that the tears look more genuine than they do. And I love the moment where Boston Rob was like, Danielle needs to shut up because she's not helping her case here. Like,
when
and it's
was that?
true.
That was
That
episode
was
three.
episode
Yes,
3, I think.
where
Yeah.
he's in there and he's kind of watching like, grrr. And again, me being like Traitors with these two, I'm thinking like, because here's the deal with this show, and I prepared myself for this too. It's like there's going to be a lot of big personalities.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of different personalities, and there's going like, how am I going to like blend into that? And I told myself, I did. I'm like, I truly don't want to blend into that. I don't want to fit into that. I don't want to try to make myself fit into that. So it's like I'm here.
Are you
But
used to
it's
being, oh, go ahead.
but it is, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I've never been a trader before, so I'm like looking at what they're doing and I'm thinking like, oh my god. Like I guess I'm like this is this like what we're like, this doesn't seem right. I can't, I couldn't even make myself do that. No. So it's just, it's everyone has different like approaches though, and like, girl,
Was
yeah.
it, how has it been watching it back? And, I think on your Survivor season with, that I was also on, for people who don't know, you were incredibly present. I mean, the most obvious person to ever be on Survivor, in my opinion. I mean, the whole season was Carolyn's story. What is it like watching Traitors, given that there's actually big enough
Oh,
personalities to match or rival yours? Is it
I'm
like
not a
you're,
like truly, I am not like a like I need all the like look at me and like I'm
yeah,
not. It's been, I knew the second I got out there, I'm like, Bob the Drag Queen is going. I'm like, girl, that Bob the Drag Queen, so entertaining, so
yeah,
charismatic. So I just knew. I'm like, Bob just dominates the scenes, the everything, like he commands it. So it's like I knew off the bat because I was just like in awe of him. I was like entertainment wise. um and then I just knew like just certain people stand out to you, so I was like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I kind of knew like I you know what, I might not get a lot of screen time, or like, I mean, because you just never know. Again, you just never know, or never know how it's gonna look or what. But I'm a big believer of like, I'm not gonna like be like that didn't happen or that didn't, like, no, that's pretty accurate, that's me, that's who I am. Like I'm hello, no, yeah. So
Well, I
it's,
did some research, and you have the most confessionals on episode 1. I don't know about 2 and 3, but
it's so hard without having that survivor fact checker to like do
I
all the
know
stats.
we
Can
need a
we get
Traitors fact checker.
Why isn't he? I love that. Okay.
Yeah, you should do
Anyway,
it.
but no, I knew that. I knew there's going to be a ton of personalities. And like I said, like, I never expected to even be asked to be on the show. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people were like, what? Carolyn got, whoa. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I knew that, like, and then add Boston Rob into the mix. Girl, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I have insecurities. I have fears. I have. It's not easy to, and I didn't know who majority of these people were. I had, I just didn't. I did not know. I had never heard of Danielle Reyes. I had never. Majority of the people I did not know, and so. And then obviously the survivor people, and they have the reputation. And I think that like that's horrible too, because it's like people, we all like come in with our reputation. Some people know people, some people don't, but it's impossible to like escape the reputation that you have. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Bob the Drag Queen had said something like, I've heard she's like a wrecking ball or something. And yeah, I'm like, well, where the hell did I hear that? But
Well, I will say it was interesting because, I'm kind of in a similar boat as you. I did know who Danielle Reyes was. I wouldn't have known Derek, but I did know Brittany too. I've watched a few seasons of Big Brother, and it was interesting because while you were filming, I was your your friend, and I was so like keeping up with any updates I could get, and one of the updates, which was crazy, was they just straight up announced y'all's cast while y'all were filming. And so I remember looking people up and being like, I don't know. So it's interesting for you to like just be put out there with a bunch of people and not necessarily know who anyone is. I mean, I think Bob recently said that he didn't know who Dorinda was, and so I feel like that's just an interesting energy of like people who do know each other. And like I even found it interesting when Chriselle in I think episode 1 saw Boston Rob, and she's like, he's like a great white, and I'm like,
I know.
okay,
I was like, girl,
yeah,
like
well
what she
that,
knows,
but also
like she
did it?
knew.
Did she, or did she just hear of him? You know what I mean? Like,
No,
I,
she knows him. Like she's seen him. Girl, how many shows has Boston Rob been on?
it's
He's
true. I'm just saying, like, I feel like, is he a great white?
yes.
No, I don't
Yes,
think so.
girl.
If I were out there personally, I don't think I'd be that afraid of Boston Rob. Just, that's me.
Get your ass out there and then you tell me that.
That's true. I'd be fangirling like
Please.
Dylan.
And again, of course, all these like, oh my gosh. And then it's like,
I'd
it
be
is.
way more afraid of Tony.
It's high school all over again, where it's like, where are you going to fit into this group, or where are you going to? And I don't have like that, like normal interaction that like I think people can like go up to one another, and I'm not like that. I'm just not like that. That's not how I bond. I usually bond through like actual human experiences. And
Yeah.
being that I'm a traitor now and I have to like go and murder people, even though I know we're not murdering people, it still is hard to then like, so I was like, okay, I just got to keep this surface level, because I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do at night. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
hard for me to just do that job, do that role, and then die. It felt icky.
Was it okay? So
I
one
want to
thing
talk
I
about
would,
prejudgments though too, because
yeah.
Wes comes in and I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
Wes
stand.
and Derek. Yeah,
Yeah,
what was
I'm
that
like, I
about?
can't
Did you
stand
even
that
know
asshole.
Wes?
No, and I'm guilty, and I want to just turn myself into jail right now that I am guilty of this. I prejudged him, and I'm not proud of it. But prejudged all of those survivors too. Like, girl, how can you not? But with Wes, I didn't know Wes. I don't even watch the challenge. Like, I'm not like, girl, but I had just I've know who Wes is because he's been on TV for so long. And so my opinion of him was like, oh gosh, he's that guy who like starts fights with people. He's the bully, he's the asshole. So I was like, oh no. I'm judging him though.
Yeah,
What is that based off of? Do I know him? No.
I'll be honest. I found it really out of place for them just to. Okay, I don't know. For me, and I like Boston Rob. I mean, am I like the like? Oh, I can't wait for. I hope Boston Rob's on every show. No, but I don't dislike him. And so when he wasn't chosen to be replaced at the beginning where you could shake his hand, I don't know if I really liked that he was just kind of thrown in later. It was kind of like they almost expected him to be, and then they're like, ugh, guess we're just gonna have to force him to be in, and then to do that we're gonna have to add 2 more people. That's how I felt. And I would think that they would spread it out a little bit, but no, they add like 3 big, like from the trifecta of the challenge, Survivor, and Big Brother, like 3 big time well-known men. And it's like, I just would think that they would do something a little different. It just felt like a really odd addition. Just a personal take. But I
Yeah,
will
it ain't
say,
no fun. It's not fun. It's not like I remember seeing them and it's like, oh, 3 more people.
3
And
more
then
people.
Boston Rob, I was
Boston
like,
Rob. You're like, dang, I thought we got rid of you.
yes, but I really wanted to meet him too, like as
Yeah,
like just like
pretty
it's
cool.
Boston Rob, like girl,
Yeah.
good, it's true. And so it's like, okay, but now you can go now. But you know, it's because it is. It's I again, I am not like some like, oh my gosh, too good for these. Like, no, I literally like I've watched Boston Rob for a long time. It's like, oh, I'm gonna respect that, you know?
Yeah.
Girl.
Okay, I have a question. So, first of all, and this will tie into the next question, maybe not, maybe so. Is the breakfast food good? It looks so good on TV. Like,
I
it looks
honestly, like,
delicious.
Carson and Gabby, it's so funny, that confessional where she's like, the pickles and the she's so funny. But is the food good? I don't even know if I was tasting anything. I was so nervous. Like I
Oh,
didn't want to, because again, I'm on my like best behavior. I don't want to mess anything up because I do have self-control, to those for those who don't know. And I was so just like, how am I drinking my coffee? How am I?
yeah.
And then just again, I have that. It is hard for me to like stop talking sometimes. So I definitely didn't want to be like them. And so it's just, I had to observe for a while. But I don't, the food, I literally don't remember what it tastes like because I was too nervous to eat it. Like
Oh,
I would literally just put stuff on my plate and be like, yeah.
well, for those who don't know, this summer I was studying abroad in the UK, and I kind of just bounced back and forth. And I didn't wear this hat for, for nothing. I actually got this hat in like the Scottish Highlands. Um, and everyone loves my hat.
Why
So
don't
I,
you
I
wear
just
it?
wore
I've never,
this.
like,
I
wear
do
it
wear
more.
it. I have a lot of hats. I like hats.
You do.
I do. Well, I will say Scotland had, in my opinion, some of the best food. Like there were some places I was like, oh my gosh. So seeing the breakfast room, I'm like, it has to be so
It's just
good.
so pretty. Like
It's
more
so
so, I would
pretty.
say, like, I can't complain about the food though. I was just too nervous to like actually be like, what am I going to eat today? And I don't eat pickles for breakfast. I also don't eat salmon or like, but like, and then a big croissant. I'm not gonna like, girl. But that was
Wait,
like the.
so
But there's snacks everywhere and stuff. Like obviously, you used to have the room where you see all like the crap in the sink. And I remember watching like last season and being like, ooh, all these. All these treats in the sink. And when I saw that room, I was like, it's so cool to see like all the little gummies and all the little, it's like Cheerios and popcorn and all these snacks. You better believe my pockets were always full. I was I loved it. I loved it. Like I love the little treats.
Okay, so okay, so the first turret night in the morning on episode 2, they show that you, Danielle, and Bob were, trying to come to terms of a decision. And it, clearly you and Danielle disagreed on who to do. Y'all had a little bit of a discourse. Was it in any way awkward, as like the next day happened or so on between the two of y'all? Or was it
When
just
those
like
situations
normal?
happen, like because Danielle and I were in this, you see like us in the same car together, me, her,
Yeah.
Dylan, and it's like, then you get to, and again, we're seeing her, crying, being emotional, like, okay, and like, I like Danielle, I'm like, and
Yeah.
then it's like, we become traitors, and it's like, whoa, like, bah, bah, bah. So it's like this side that I'm like, girl, I wasn't like seeing that side before, this side of like, and this is what we're gonna do. And so I'm like, what? And again, I, I'm used to this. I'm used to people like talking down to me. I'm used to people treating me a certain way. But it's like, oh my God, like I'm a traitor too, and I'm here with you guys. Like, I get it. But the whole, yes, it was hard. Like, I don't sound as well spoken as Danielle or even Bob. It's true. I have a slower processing speed. It takes me a minute to get my thoughts out, my words out. You see me kind of stumbling, and so it's like I just shut down. But I
Hmm.
don't feel like I said, like I'm not trying to be rude here. And it just, to not be heard or not be, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like then I wake up the next day, it's like, oh my God, like I had to do so much self-talk. Like, don't shut down, don't let them like get to you, stand up for yourself, say your,
Yeah.
and then throw Rob in there. Oh, so it's so as I'm like playing my fight song to keep going and not let, because that happened to me on Survivor, where
Hmm.
absolutely allowed people to get in my head and make me feel less than and make me feel like I shouldn't be there or my opinion didn't matter. And that's a shitty
Yeah.
feeling to have, ever, ever. And it's like, of course I start to think like, what's wrong with me? Like, what do I have to change? Do I have to? And I won't. Like, I'm not.
Well,
I
that
won't.
was what I was about to
And
ask
you
you.
know what? Part of
What?
that is like, that's the point. That's the
Yeah.
point. But I don't feel like I'm acting like freaky in the turret. So it's like, I am a human too. It's not like I'm just all the time being like, woo. I'm literally the calmest traitor there is.
Well,
Other than
exactly.
like,
So why do you think that 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 you're being treated the same way you were on Survivor? Like, I have my opinion of it, but like at the end of the day, you are stating the most strategic move, which was to take out, not take out Dorinda and do someone like Robin, because Dorinda's
just
made
like not even
herself
respected,
known,
not even listened to, not
right?
even.
And
And
Wells
again,
and
I can see both sides where again those two are closer. They're gonna like back each other up. I'm just there turning around, and then also it's like I struggle, I stumble upon my words. I'm not the most articulate. I'm aware of that. And I remember it was the same thing on Survivor where I was afraid of like, or not afraid, excuse me. I was like, oh, at tribal councils, because I'm like, I'm not gonna have these like polished like analogies and all that. But
mm-hmm.
and I remember like them telling me like, it's like that's why you're here. We don't want you to be somebody that you're not. And it's true. It's like everyone has like their purpose, but it's still like, remember when I'm like, should I take some like speech and debate courses?
And I was like,
Girl.
no. Well, here's what I just found interesting. It's
But I
like,
struggle with like, good. I have a
yeah,
very, and I'm like all over the place. And so again, that is, I wish I listened to like Wes, for example, or Boston Rob, like how they speak. And it's just like, or Phaedra, or just so like what, like Wes, I would buy whatever he's selling because he can talk, so he could be saying like the and I would believe him.
here's the thing that I'm wondering. How many TV shows is it going to take you to be on before people start to recognize and realize that you have legitimate and sound reasoning in your strategic gameplay? It's like, you would think, I mean, Danielle's a Survivor fan. Tony and Jeremy both have watched your season of Survivor. Boston Rob has, I'm sure. Dylan's watched Survivor. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people have, but still, people treat you as if you just are a
Or like some
fly on the
idiot.
wall and like an idiot. They talk to you like you're a child, and it's sometimes just baffling. I'm like, what does Carolyn need to do, and
Nothing.
why do you need to prove yourself
Nothing.
too? I
Nothing.
don't
Like
know
so.
either. So let's
No.
everyone think about it over the break, and please comment in the on YouTube if you're here what you think the reason is, because I'm still trying to grapple with
No,
it
I don't want to
myself.
know.
I do. We're gonna take a break,
But
and
here's
when
the
we're
part.
back, we're gonna take a break, and when we're back, we're gonna go into um just more details. I want to talk about Tony's exit. I want to talk about him calling Boston Rob a sellout. We're going to talk about it all. We will be right back.
We're back. Okay, so I don't want to know, but no, I would say
I do.
game wide, like there's a difference between like just like treating someone like a human versus like just not hearing them, not whatever. That is part of, and that's why I said the difference between like when I'm talking in the turret, it's not like I'm like "Wah!" or screaming, being like I'm not, but
Yeah.
like when I'm being all crazy out there, it's like that's a part of this. That is so people can not know where I'm at. So people just think I'm all over the place. So like in Survivor, like I'm just having fun. I don't even know where I am. That's a whole part of it. But you know what? I do have thoughts and a brain, people. But I don't know if it's like because of this personality, like I can't be taken seriously at all. But it's like, how am I any different than anyone else who is just a little bit over the top? I don't. But I will say this, because of that, like here's the deal. Like, well, why are they treating me like that? Their names are out there as well. You know what I'm saying? Their names are out there. Mine isn't, and they probably
Mm.
likely know, which they're why they're trying to toss me into the coffin, because no, like who's gonna come for me?
That was a
I'm just this person
hilarious
running
moment.
around like woo, but I'm also holding myself together, and I'm not gonna be too loud.
Well, I was cracking up when Danielle was like, "Carolyn, would you go in the coffin?" You go, "Girl."
Like, but
I mean,
even my
Yeah,
Like,
you did the see. It's if you pay attention to Carolyn's body language, you can tell when she is uncomfortable. It's when her shoulders go up and she leans back. Like she's it's I mean, there you are one of them. Even though you are incredibly difficult to read, you also express yourself in a way where like people should get the hint, you know?
yeah, girl. But again, it's so all over the place that I get it. But yeah, like breakfast, I was like, girl. But yeah, it's like that's a part like, oh, she's crazy. It's like that's the point.
Also, what were y'all thinking when because y'all had that challenge where you went in like the clown maze or whatever, and Bob Harper and Dolores they went in the same door one of y'all had already been in, and then you could hear everyone no no no.
It was so
That
hard to
cracked me
hear.
up.
Like that challenge, like I am sorry. Like it was beautiful though, and I will say that everything is so freaking cool. And oh my gosh, just the job that they do. And you know, I love like the Survivor art department. This is like
Mhm.
Survivor art department, like movie style. Like it's so cool. And so you go there and it's like this fun house and this like clowns and it's so cool. Anyway, well, you could barely hear. It's like over a loudspeaker. And yes, it seems simple enough. Like you describe the pattern and then the next person go. And obviously the person at the end, they're more likely to be able to figure it out based off like, telephone. It's not, come on, we're a mess. And it was hard. It really was hard to hear.
Well, I was just I find the Traitors challenges incredibly fun, and I don't know if it's just
Yes.
because it's a relatively new TV show, but I think that other reality TV shows should take note of how like of the Traitors challenges because a lot of times on a lot of reality TV shows I will purposely skip the challenges because they bore me. And
Exactly. But these are entertaining.
these are
These are,
fun.
because I do. I'm like, I don't care who the strongest man is or who can lift. Mm,
Yeah, it's
but
fun.
this is, and that's what I love about the Traitors is the theatrics of it is
Yeah.
you know how much I looked forward to seeing Alan's outfits and seeing Lala dressed up. It's like that's a highlight.
I mean, he must have like a whole
Mm,
U-Haul of outfits
it's
that are
so cool.
ready. I mean, I can't imagine.
Cool.
Okay, so y'all
Let's talk
do
about
the round table, yes. With
which that too is so scary and like again like girl I'm hearing like don't talk too much, don't because again it's I want to be like I'm trying to stay in the game and it's such a balance of like do I talk or do and then again it's like if you're not saying anything you can't like not say anything but again why am I gonna like really it's like okay I'm gonna walk around I'm gonna talk to people if I hear a name it's like early on especially way early on and so Robin's throwing out Wells and it's like yeah sure let's go how many okay yep we got enough people for Well it's too early on so it's so random it's the first it's the first banishment so I'm not going to be throwing names out there that early well for what
did you feel pressure to seeing that Bob and Danielle were more outspoken at the round table?
no I didn't feel
No.
pressure to I was like I heard Sandra Carolyn don't be because again I have impulse control issues so I had Sandra in my head like girl don't like draw too much attention to yourself early and don't be starting debates and battles if you don't need to for what
Yeah. Well,
so that
that was one interesting thing that I think kind of worked against Bob the drag queen because Bob at the beginning of the round table was like, I'm going to say a name and it's Wells, and then Robin jumps on it, and then but then you see Bob be like kind of back up, and then that's what ultimately triggers Dylan the next episode to be like, if it's not Robin, it's Bob the drag queen because the way that he threw a name out and then just kind of leaned back and let the stuff unfold
yeah
was very Traitors-esque. So
and
it's just,
part of that too is like again and I think Brittany says this like because someone's like because it was like that like is anyone else gonna speak up no we're
yeah,
scared you
yeah.
know what I'm
Well,
saying
okay. I was taking note of that because I'm like,
People are
are
scared.
people are scared, but also are people like thinking about the people who look at people thinking about the people who are not speaking enough and thinking like, okay,
Of
Jeremy's
course.
not talking a lot, Carolyn's not talking too much, Dolores is kind of quiet. You know what I mean? Like, is
So
that
it's like it's
some?
such a hard balance of like, do you be like speak up because you got to be doing something. You got it. So it's. I mean, you'll as it progresses. I mean, it's very. It's a hard. It's a show. Like, this is stressful, and especially the round table. Again, it's like you. It's dead silent. We're all like it's terrifying, and we're all just staring at each other. It's creepy. Like I'm not gonna lie.
One
It's
thing I
creepy.
really like about y'all's season is just from these first 3 episodes, at the round table when y'all are voting for people, some of these votes are so random. It's not like there was a lot of like, and it's mostly people who don't play game shows, because if you know from a game show, you never walk into a tribal council or the voting booth at Big Brother not knowing who you're going to vote for,
No,
and you're not going
no.
to go
But
voting rogue. But a
that's the
lot of these
thing.
players are just like, I don't
It's
care, I
not
don't
always
like
like that
Tom.
though. For a
Yeah.
lot of like that's the thing. It's like this and that's the thing. This isn't Big Brother. This isn't Survivor. And so like let's take and you hear this on the episode or even in the past seasons where it's like let's take this to the round table and I'm going to be making my decision there because I'm not kidding you. Sometimes, yes, people absolutely, especially early on, you don't know, Carson, you don't know because we don't even know these people. We don't.
Yeah.
And so as a trader, like there's enough people voting one way, good early
Mm-hmm.
on. Come on. So with Tony, girl, it's such a battle of oh my god. Of course, day one I'm like, get this guy out of here. But I know my role in a room and that's Tony and I can't help but be a human in those moments. And when you see somebody like Tony being like emotional and sincerely just fighting for himself. And I know he's not a traitor. It was because it's Tony. And again,
Yeah.
I can talk all the crap I want and be like, get him out of here. I didn't expect to see this emotional person. I didn't, never in a million years. He's the type who, like, that's a move, or excuse me, he can separate like game and emotion and all of that. And so I didn't expect it. And then having like Rob be like, and you didn't which I get. Like Rob's, he's team traitor and he had to do what he had to do. But it's like sell out. That was I would like my tears were 100% genuine. I didn't even want to look at him. I felt like shit. I felt like shit. I
It
felt
was
like
tense. I mean, you just Tony is not necessarily one I think to be sensitive, and that elimination was so
it was
personal. It
brutal.
felt like it
Was
was
it the music?
brutal.
Well, no, it wasn't just the music because I was there and it was very emotional. Like I couldn't even, I felt just, I really felt for him. Good. And you can easily say too, he's won twice. Who cares? He's had, yeah, I felt like that too, but it doesn't mean it's still like, it's hard to see somebody like Tony get emotional like that. And
Hmm.
again, then there is that like, but Survivor and it
So
was very hard.
okay, so I like to I don't know if I have ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I do. You know what I mean? Like my mind bounces
What?
around
No, I'm
all
kidding.
over the place. Yeah, exactly. So while you're saying that, it made me think of a moment at the beginning of episode 2, I believe, where you are walking and you grab a few, I think Gabby and then I think Nikki, and you're like, "Hey, I need to talk to y'all." You bring them over, and Chriselle and Bob Harper follow into the room, and then a bunch of them leave. But as they're leaving, Bob Harper audibly says, like, she's batshit. How
Yeah.
did that? I mean, I
Well,
got
I heard
angry.
him. First of all, I heard him
Yeah,
say
you
that.
heard it, and you said he just called me. Yeah,
She's
what?
a hot mess. She's a hot mess. She's bad. I heard him say it, and I'm not like, yeah, it hurt my feelings.
It made
like,
me
yeah, I'm
angry.
a human. So I did. I went over to when Jeremy was like, I got to talk to you. As he's talking to me, I did. I felt like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what if I, okay, thanks. And I did. I'm like, he just called. And Jeremy was like, who cares about what they say? And Jeremy is just so kind and so like he is. It's like I you watch the like I said, you watch these people on TV, like because I didn't know Jeremy before. I'd never met him. I had never
Yeah.
met Boston Rob. I'd never met Tony. And that's like so much charisma and so much person. Oh God. Anyway, Tony's hilarious, like literally hilarious. Anyway, um, yeah. So it was like okay now, and then when he immediately says like I'm feeling suspicious of or watch Danielle. You need to watch Danielle. I'm like. Did I want to run up and like go tell her like immediately? It's like that battle of like
You wanted
I
to
know
tell Danielle after that?
no, it's like
Oh,
this battle of like no, but I still like I don't want to tell her that, but at the same time like loyalty of the traitors are sticking around for the trade. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm supposed to be like playing with them, but I'm like I don't want Jeremy gone though.
yeah.
Plus, I felt like that, like what you can't. Jeremy's literally telling people that you're a traitor. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we.
Well, then Bob, the drag queen, is like talking to Danielle, and Danielle asks you, like, "Did you hear my name?" And you're like, and you just, I thought you did a really good job because had you said no or like tried to, it would have not looked good. But you were like, "Yes, I did," and you said from who, and I think that also was a good move on your part because that's the
But
and
I
that's
want like no deep down I'm thinking like no like I don't want to like y'all aren't listening to me, but
what was so then they task y'all with, or what were they doing where y'all were like in the wine cellar deciding who was going to go in the coffin, because y'all had to choose 3 people at the end of the episode
who's gonna go?
who's
Yeah,
going to
and
go in the coffin,
so yeah, I'm not
where
going
then
in that coffin.
but Danielle did ask you if you would.
No, thank you.
Didn't she say you wouldn't have a choice?
No, that was Bob. Was like, yeah.
But would you have not had a choice?
If I wouldn't have made it in there, correct, because it only 3 traders needed to be together, 3 to write the
Oh my
names down.
gosh.
So had Boston Rob just kind of like been like, yeah, sure, allow Carolyn, but Rob's thinking like, no, that's suspicious. And for anyone who's like, well, why would that be suspicious? I don't know. People do think of previous seasons, and Parvati was in a coffin. Girl, it's true.
Yeah.
It looks suspicious. People are gonna. It's suspicious. It's putting a target on my back. There's
Yeah.
a reason they want. Why aren't you? Bob loves attention. Bob loves being the center stage. Bob, why aren't you in the coffin, girl? Because it's they put me in there because they had their names out there. I didn't.
Yeah. I find at first I questioned the group of traders they picked. Like I really didn't know Danielle. I wasn't that familiar with Bob and Boston Rob. I was like, what? But now the complexion of y'all is very interesting because, and I'm kind of glad that Boston Rob got added because at least the first episode you were steamrolled. Not that you wanted to be, like you held your
Really,
own.
first, second, like what? Or how many turrets?
You were like, what Dorinda? You brought up
How
Dorinda,
many
and
turrets
then
have there been? Like, yeah, the whole time. But then again, think of it like me,
mm-hmm.
where then I see Boston Rob, who I know is like the dictator of camp life. So in my head, I'm like, of course, because I'm like, we don't want you here. Because yes, I'm thinking like, how the heck? I already have these 2 dictators here. How the heck am I going to now work with Boston Rob?
Yeah, I found that so you know who reminds me a lot of Pilot Pete, and you probably already know who I'm going to say,
Duh,
Dylan.
Dylan. I said that out there. Like,
In my
I was like,
opinion,
he's going to be the pilot Pete.
yeah, he's insane. I mean, that the way he's never played a reality show. I mean, he watches Survivor, but it was fun to
He's a
watch.
gamer.
Yeah, he's a gamer. It was fun to watch him like be like, if it's not Robin, it has to be Bob the drag queen. And then he's like slowly spreading, the thought of it. And then it gets back to Bob, and Bob is obviously, taken aback and is like, you can tell because like Bob didn't think that his name would even be out there. But you have Detective Dylan, that's what I'm going to start calling him, on the lookout for traitors.
Because that's the point
And
of the game too, right? And so it's like
yeah.
people will say like the strategy has got to be, and I know even Sandra would probably say this, like find like you can know who the, and this is probably smart, like you can know who the traders are, but just like then stay close to them, keep them around, make sure they know that like I trust you and blah blah blah. But I think Dylan was playing, he was very humble, he was very like I am here to get the traders, you know what I'm saying, like he was very like in the first 3 episodes, he's there to play. He is the
Mm-hmm.
like faithful.
Well, I just found it interesting where he brought it up to, you know, the group at the round table, and then you just see Bob light up. I mean, I was like, I almost felt bad for Dylan. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so spot on. And he is about to like deconstruct. I felt so
Yeah.
bad for him. He got called misguided, which was, I mean, how do you make that up on the spot?
How,
But
yeah.
but I hope, and I don't know what he's going to do, but I really hope that he stays strong in his like, in, you know, in seeing what he sees, and he doesn't shut up or anything, because like at the end of the day, like it's so easy to be intimidated, but like,
Yeah, you see it with me. Like,
and I'll also say for future trader seasons or whatnot, when you see someone get that upset and they take it, you know, because Dylan was saying it very, I don't know, cut and dry, like here's what I think. When you see someone react in that way, that oftentimes comes from the way Bob was, you know, defending himself was very defensive. I wouldn't even call it offensive. He was very good at being defensive. In fact, like scarily so, to the point where Dylan just doesn't shut up. But like, if someone ever gets that emotional in how they feel about something, and I understand his game was on the line, like it kind of, if I were there, I'd be like, I'd almost question Bob the Drag Queen more if I were a faithful and didn't know. I'd be like, he got
but that's
so,
so hard because it's so
it
early.
is
You don't
hard.
know how people actually react to things and how they like. So it's hard. Like to
Yeah,
even. I get what you're saying, but it's like or like no, this. But like you're not going to call me a I'm a faithful. Like so
yeah.
it defensive, but like because you of course you're not just gonna sit back and take it either. So and that's Bob's personality. Bob is not gonna just like
That's true.
no.
So it might work in his favor, like it does yours, with you being just so, um, uh, you know, doing all moving, and there, you can't read him like you can't read you. So I could see
Yeah.
that as well. Well, we're gonna take a break, and when we're back, we're going to finish up and wrap up with Carolyn's segment of what is the girl moment, and
No, girl, it's girl.
it's just girl.
Yeah,
GURL
exactly.
or GIRL.
Girl.
Okay.
I'm not sure
And
yet.
I have, y'all, this
Oh,
is, I have such a good Carolyn snippet that I'm going to show y'all and tell y'all exactly how to read this on your segment of Translating Carolyn. We'll be right back.
girl. Welcome back, everyone. So basically, like, girl, like,
What's
what?
your
What
girl
is it?
moment?
Oh, my girl moment would be, oh my gosh. I love my dog, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Every single time that I saw Lala with Alan, I would be a mess. I would cry, and I would like think of my little Jerry, and like I wanted to be able, like, how can I have Jerry like be a part of this? How can I? And then I see my hat. What is it, episode 3? And I
Yeah.
see that quick little shot of my Jerry, and it was Chloe. Chloe, you know who Chloe is. She's the one who
She's
made
an
like the Jerry.
artist and one of
Yes,
our friends. Yeah.
who made the Jerry behind there? So
Mm-hmm.
she drew that little Jerry, which is the same like oh my gosh. So it brought like that is my girl moment. Is this making sense? So like seeing that out there and seeing my Jerry on my hat, it was like he was out there with me. And again, like I love my dog.
Well, Carolyn, I was wondering, did you get to wear your Jerry shirt? Because you also had that.
My little Jerry shirt. No, I did not. Why? Because I was a traitor, so I didn't get to wear it. But I did get to wear my hat. But yeah, that my Jerry
Ah,
shirt was like for like in case I was a faithful. And so
it's so good. For
all
people
my
who
Jerry
don't
attire,
know, Carol, when we're talking about Jerry, we're referring to Carolyn's
my dog.
dog. He is
Jerry
a what is he? A Chinese
Preston.
crested, and me and Jerry are friends. But the hat moment was cute, and then you see it taken away so you have to have a keen eyes for this. So go rewatch episode 3 to see it. But
Oh, I was so happy. I'm like, oh my Chloe, go look. It's cool. I like again, good. I love my
Carolyn's
dog.
like, I'm going on Traitors. My one thing I need to make sure I do is have my dog on my hat. I love
I
it.
need my dog with me. And so yeah, having Alan in the relationship that Alan has with Lala,
With
like
Lala, you want
it
your
is
moment.
like but it's beautiful, the connection, the way anytime Alan moves one way, Lala is following. They are so in sync with each other. It's a relate. It's a relate. No, it's true. The relate like Lala loves him.
Yeah,
And I
I
love
see
that
it.
they're featuring so many clips of Lala this like season. I feel like, we get Lala
It's
going up to the stairs. It's cool. I love
Yeah,
it.
it is. It's like now part of the show. Like everyone expects Lala. Yeah. Sorry, for some reason in my head I want to call the dog Nala. I don't know why.
Girl,
Um.
Lala.
Okay, so we're gonna get to translating Carolyn. Your Carolyn translator is here. Carolyn's best friend knows everything about her and knows exactly what she means or is saying by just her facial expression. So I have a really funny moment I'm going to put on the screen. And this happens, that we're going to analyze. This happens after Jeremy brings up to Carolyn, watch out for Danielle Reyes. I don't know, but she, to me, is coming off as a traitor, something along those lines. And Carolyn's response,
Well, and it doesn't help that it's like that music.
So
The
here's,
music that they play every time a
yeah,
traitor like enters the room, and then it's like, and I think, or they mention a traitor or whatever the heck they do, and then it like, so Jeremy's like, blah 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 Danielle, and then it's like, you know what I'm talking, Carson. You
yeah,
know what I'm. Yes.
yes. Well, okay, so here it is. All right, I'm putting it on the screen. So she starts with this face of like, if you're not on, you need to go switch to YouTube if you want to see this. It's much more fun. But she kind of looks out like she's having an office moment, and I'm referring to Jim Halpert, when he would like look at the camera and be like, oh, because it's so good, because you start by looking at Jeremy, but then you like almost need somebody to like to hear you in this moment of like you're in this trial, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I just got, like, what do I say? So you look at the camera and then you look back and your tongue is out. It's so funny. And then but this is what, to me, if I were there as your friend and I was a faithful, even if I didn't know you were a traitor at this point, I would have known that you knew something, because you put your head down in a way where you almost nod, and you're not saying anything, but watch this, y'all. Her head nods slowly, and you go, like, you're acknowledging it, and then you look back at him. So you look at the camera, you do your little Jim Halpert like expression, and then you like nod back down and look back
Or maybe
at
it's just
Jeremy.
because okay, so you say that would give it away.
For
Was
me, as your friend, no
Jeremy
one else would
fooled?
know that. Jeremy would not
No.
have known that. I'm just saying, knowing you now, I wouldn't have caught that on my season of Survivor with you.
I
But
feel like you're
knowing you
giving away my
now,
secrets, Carson.
oh no, should we cancel this segment so nobody would
Yes.
ever read you again? I think it's funny. Well, I think we'll end with this. Carolyn and I have a Patreon that's under the main podcast that we do for Survivor called Let's Get Tribal. And if you want to support us there or get more behind the scenes or just kind of get caught up, we post as much as we can on there. We're oftentimes just posting our random things, and sometimes we do bonus segments.
Why
So
don't
you
we
should,
start doing like? I think we should start doing like we'll post these on there before we post
before
them.
we post this. That's a good idea. So we're
Also,
starting.
I wanted to do some like just I have some ideas. Like, remember even when we would watch the episodes together for season 2 and we would
Yeah,
FaceTime? And, like,
that was fun. Yeah,
and I remember you like, let's start doing that and like include like adding people and like I
that would be
remember
fun.
remember Carson when I was like and just do like reactions of us watching the roundtable or watching
We
remember
could
when we and we'll
wait.
do
That's so
Patreon.
good. What if
Remember
we? What if we do
remember
like group lives on our Patreon where people can join and we all watch
yeah.
the episode together as if it's a
I
live?
mean, I'm going to be
So
freaking out, but remember
yeah,
when you used to call me and you'd be like, "Are you ready to watch the episode?" And I'm like, "No."
no,
Because like I couldn't concentrate like watching it together. Remember that? You're like, "Are you ready
yeah.
to watch?" I'm like, "Girl,
So if you want to be
no."
part of our small little tribal community, treacherous community, let's get joining. You
Join.
get what I did there? Like let's get
And it was a
tribal. Let's get
Patreon member
treacherous.
who came up. We got to give like
With
credit
who
to that.
came up with our
Who came up with this name. And so
yes,
like, thank
thank
you.
you. So we really appreciate our patrons, the people who support us. So we can't wait for episode 4 to be released this upcoming week. And we hope you all stay safe and continue to get treacherous. We will see y'all next week. Bye.
Woo!